Hello again, this is Emad Aysha from Cairo, Egypt, SF researcher and author, and once again a diatribe against Dune Part 1. Something that bothered me the first time I saw the movie, and has come back into my consciousness recently, just by accident, is the Spice Harvester sequence in the Dune Part 1, which is not true to the novel and is actually inferior, in my opinion, to the David Lynch movie, and it's just annoying, plain annoying, and it's emblematic of everything that's wrong with the movie and tells you why things went wrong with Dune Part 1. Liet Kynes, Dr. Kynes, is in this movie is described as being an eccentric, but when you actually see her, she's not eccentric. She doesn't do anything at all of an eccentric nature, and she's not even she's not a rebel or a nonconformist. The whole point of being eccentric is to be somebody who's instinctively a rebel and doesn't do what everybody else is doing. Instead, what you get is a character that is obnoxious in places, vacillating, doesn't make her mind up what she wants to do, what side she commits to, and basically a character that is downgraded, and it's heartbreaking, not just because of the character of Liet Kynes in the novel, who's so central a character, so interesting and important a character, but also because Sharon Duncan Brewster is a really good actress. I liked her performance. She has a solidity and a sincerity that's very appealing. They could have done really good work with that character, with that choice of actress, with the gender and race swap. Liet Kynes in the novel and in the David Lynch movie is a blonde dude and very sort of Scandinavian type of character. Here you have a minority, perfect minority twice over, a woman and a black, an African woman, perfect for the themes you want to explore about in Dune. Actually, that, like having Wellington Yue being Chinese, that's a really good move, but typically they don't take advantage of the opportunity and do the exact opposite. They downgrade the character, and in ways that are quite offensive. Now, the Spice Harvester sequence in the novel, it's important for two reasons, mainly. Thematic reasons and plot-wise reasons. One, it gives you hints at the secret identity of Liet Kynes as the leader, the unofficial leader of the Fremen, with his big ecological plans, disobeying both the Emperor and the Harkonnens. And the nature of Duke Leto and the honor of the Atreides, their ability to win people over with their honor, something that Jessica herself feels and is impressed by. And there's also there's a religious theme as well concerning Kynes and his kind of agnostic attitude towards religion. When he gets killed at the later, he says, maybe the universe is governed by nothing but chance, and he dies out of bad luck. And he's also skeptical about the prophecies. Even when he sees it with Paul, he knows that these things have been put there. But at the same time, he is in awe of the worms of Arrakis and bless the Maker and maybe cleanse the world. So he's an important and significant character, and it's important also to bounce him off, mirror fashion, off of Duke Leto. Duke Leto can be ruthless when he needs to be, but fundamentally he's a very good man, and he's concerned by leading by example. Hence, while as Kynes is half Fremen and he's very Machiavellian. He definitely has his code, so to speak, but he weighs things in a calculated fashion. I wouldn't call him a conflicted character, but he's an interesting character. It's not a black or white character. The David Lynch movie is more he's more just a good guy. But even so, that harvester sequence is very important, because it brings that out. You have the Duke risking his own son to save the people from the Spice Harvester, and Liet Kynes, who's used to imperial officials and heavy-handed officials and the Harkonnens, he says, I hate to say this, and I like this Duke. I'm impressed by him. I might be willing to follow this guy and even die for him. And that's why he eventually saves Paul and Jessica. He stops being Machiavellian, and instead of going along with the Emperor, he disobeys the Emperor and saves Paul and Jessica, or tries to. What you get in the Dune Part 1 is the opposite of all of that. You have a weak, vacillating character, and there's a scene where she's being confronted by Duncan Idaho and said, did the Emperor send us here to die? How could this happen? and she's dressed for some reason with a hijab covering her hair and looking away and not confronting him in his eyes. I thought this guy was an eccentric. I thought she was an eccentric, a rebel, a nonconformist. She's not the secret leader of the Fremen. She's an important person, a respected person among them, but she's not the leader of the whole planet, and she doesn't have some big ecological master plan working with the Fremen to harvest water through wind traps and change the ecology of the planet, these kind of things. It's not there. And she's obnoxious. Here, I'll actually quote you from the script. She doesn't say, I'm impressed by this Duke. Instead, she tells him, the carryall was just old, the desert isn't kind to equipment. That's not what happens in the novel and the old movie. There it's Harkonnen sabotage. You know what will happen if I don't get spice production back on track? Duke Leto says. She scoffs, I'm not here to take your part. Arrakis has seen men like you come and go. Take good care of your family. The desert's not kind to humans either. So, that's not in the novel, and it's not even true to the spirit of the novel. She's being obnoxious, and she's telling him, in effect, to his face, your days are numbered. There's a plan to get rid of you, and I know about it. I'm not part of it, but I'm not warning you, and I'm not exposing the plan either. I'm an accomplice after the fact, which doesn't make you respect the character. What was the point of doing a gender and race swap if you're going to make the character into a weak, vacillating character, and then go and call the person an eccentric, which they aren't? So, I mean, it's not just that they ruined the character, and I think they insulted Sharon Duncan Brewster. She does a really good job, but she's been hated and reviled since then, sadly, because it's not true to the novel. It's not her fault. It's also, I mean, they created it's monumental bad writing. They created a character that contradicts themselves. One minute we're told eccentric, and the other minute conformist to just do like a machine does what she's told. And like I said, that whole sequence is emblematic of what's wrong with the movie. You have Paul also having a spice attack, so to speak, and he's pampered and portrayed as some sort of tempestual hormonal teenager who can't handle, who has an allergic reaction to something like what's it called, peanuts, that kind of thing, a peanut allergy. Yeah, that's great. Psychedelic prophecies of the future are reduced to a peanut allergy for a tempestuous teenager with acne or something like that. You see what I mean? See how bloody disgraceful this is? I'm supposed to like this guy and admire him? See him as and supposed to enjoy his triumphs and feel his triumph over adversity and losing everything and being tested as a human being, his fortitude and his having his metal tested, that kind of thing. We have that expression in Arabic, by the way. Say rijalu ma'adin, men are metals. Yeah, it's well, the word temptation in Arabic is fitna, and it can also mean chaos, and it's a reference to heating up metals to burn out the impurities, testing the metal. And wouldn't you know it, Arabs are desert people just like you have in Arrakis. It's a perfect way of showing Paul's true colors through adversity and enjoying and identify. But here they make him into, again, some sort of teenager, some hormonal teenager with temper tantrums and I don't say wet dreams, that would be rude, but maybe his visions of Shani coming in the future. Not that anything really comes of it. In the second movie that happens. They finally corrected it before it was too late. But you see how just badly done that whole sequence is, and it makes it impossible to enjoy, especially if you've read the novel and you've seen the first movie. Now, what messed everything up? A combination of three factors. One, Denis Villeneuve's ego. He insists on doing scenes in a different way with lines missing from the David Lynch movie, even though David Lynch is doing what's in the novel. You see that in the scene where Paul is being tested, and instead of him saying the litany of fear, you have his mother saying And his mother is also handled badly in the movie. One minute she's cold as steel, she's cold as ice. She's just like her character in Mission Impossible, impressive. And the other minute she's weeping and crying. And I know lots of Muslim academics who watched the movie and were really pissed off. They loved Jessica in the novel. They wanted to see Jessica weepy and crying. And I can even get you the references. I'll look them up and put them in the commentary on this video. So it's the monumental bad lighting and the usage of cliches. That's the second factor, which is studio interference. And again, I won't go as far as calling it racism, because they also downgrade the character of Peter de Vries. And the only race or gender swap character that works well in the movie is Duncan Idaho. I actually liked him more than in the novel. In the novel, he's this kind of James Mason European gentleman type. Here he's a samurai warrior, somebody who's honored to die for his duke and would rather die than be a Ronin, be a disgraced samurai who has no master or failed his master. But that's Jason Momoa for it. He knows how to turn on the juice, so to speak. And thank heavens the studio, knowing who Jason Momoa went along with his recommendation. I assume that's what happened. So, first factor, Denis Villeneuve's ego, just wanting to do things differently than the David Lynch movie, even if the David Lynch movie fits the novel. 2, studio interference. And 3, I would suspect also the role of Brian Herbert. I made the mistake of actually buying and reading a number of the prequel novels, and I eventually stopped. They degenerated into a gory soap opera. And the men are derogated in the novel, and particularly, and that includes, sorry, not particularly, includes Duke Leto, one of the good guys. They still have to go and make fun of him and derogate him up against, of course, the Bene Gesserit and Jessica. In the novels, the prequel novels, Jessica has Paul for him out of pity because he lost his son Victor. In the Frank Herbert novel, she had a boy for him out of love because he needed a boy for the dukeship. She was supposed to have a girl for him, and she disobeyed the Bene Gesserit. In the Dune Part 1 novel, a movie, wouldn't you know it, she has Paul instead of a girl out of her ego, thinking that she can create the Kwisatz Haderach, which is not what happens in the novel. And at the same time, they handle it badly, because in Dune Part 1, they make Jessica to this kind of weak, weepy character half the time. Literally, the scene where she's confronting Stilgar at the end of Dune Part 1, 1 minute she's cold as ice, sharp stare in her eyes, strong forehead, and she's a good choice for that character. And then, please, pretty please, will you help us get us off the planet? We'll give you lots of money, blah blah. Literally 1 second and she's almost snaps his neck. The other second she's begging for him, getting down on her knees. It's like they had like 5 or 6 different writers going through every single scene, and everybody and somebody forgetting that the previous writer had a different intention when he wrote up that scene, and none of them are checking the novel except maybe the first scriptwriter. It's just a balderdash. Well, anyway, that's enough. This is a mini rant. Emad, over and out. See you next time.